Hey, what's up, guys? And first of all, a quick note. I've been dealing with a couple of things in real life. I haven't been able to post any series, but in around 5 days, I'll be finished. So, yeah, expect regular series to be returned in around 5 days. Until then, a few movie to keep you guys entertained. So, this will be What If Naruto discovered that he was a clone from the beginning? Not just a normal clone, of course, that wouldn't work. A clone that was created to be Naruto, but that begs the question, where was the original? What happened to him? What was he doing? And how will he take this? How will the world change as Naruto Uzumaki, the young man that set his entire ideology on being the best, being number one to become the leader of his village, to be acknowledged, learned that his way would never be achieved because he was not the one that was meant to achieve it? Well, if you want to find out, sit back, relax, and enjoy, guys. We begin this movie with Team 7. Team 7 had gone through many changes since Naruto returned from his training trip. Their sensei was now a man known as Yamato. Kakashi was on bed rest, and they had a new member. His name was Sai. Sai was emotionally distant at first, that is what they thought, but his emotions were simply buried in ways that were specially trained to be buried in. However, that book that he carried around with him had helped Naruto and Sakura to change him. Not completely yet, but Sai was feeling and understanding things that he doesn't usually feel or understand. At the moment, they stood looking up. After years of searching, there he was. Sasuke Uchiha, their missing teammate. The information that Sakura had gotten from Sasori had led them to Orochimaru. It wasn't long ago that Naruto went toe-to-toe with a man, tapping into the Nine Tails' power. In the end, Orochimaru fled. And now, Sakura whispered, as he stood there, looking at them like they did not matter in the slightest. As Naruto felt his chest tighten, everything that he's worked hard for, to bring Sasuke back. But Sasuke was showing off. He appeared beside Naruto, even surprising Yamato how fast he was, resting a hand on Naruto's shoulder. His words were nothing but arrogance, telling Naruto that he should have spent the last 3 years training to become Hokage instead of coming after him. However, Naruto gripped Sasuke's wrists. He hadn't pushed himself constantly to be losing right now. He flipped Sasuke over his shoulder. Knocking Sasuke out was the right thing, and getting him back to the village where they can sort this out. Sasuke though stepped on the wall and flipped off it. He flipped several times as Sakura jumped up, also realizing what Naruto wanted to do. But he stabbed the blade downwards and released electricity, but Yamato reacted fast. The wooden bindings break from the earth, forcing Sasuke to jump back up to the platform that he was standing on. Sai was already on the left moving in, as Naruto kicked off moving up towards him. Naruto moved in to apprehend Sasuke, but Orochimaru appeared from behind. He just rose out of the earth like some kind of monster. He smiled, showing no fear in his eyes. "Stop him," Orochimaru said. All of them thought that he was speaking to Sasuke, but what happened next shocked them all. Naruto's fists collided with Insai's cheek. Sai did not expect it in the slightest. It made no sense for that to happen, so he wasn't prepared for it. It did not make any sense. Sai flew backward and hit the stone, and he did not immediately get up. Naruto landed and stared at his fists. Naruto, Sakura said, confused, as he tried to turn to look at her but he couldn't. He tried to speak but his mouth would not open. Orochimaru stepped forward and smiled, looking towards Naruto deep into his eyes, almost like he knew something that he did not. "What did you do to me?" said Naruto. "I think I've gathered enough," Orochimaru said. As he was basically talking to himself, he glanced at Sasuke. "And the time for my ascension is close. We should go." "What does that mean?" Naruto said. It was barely a whisper. Yamato, though, wasn't about to let them get away, his hands flying through hand signs. "Stop them," Orochimaru said. The next moment, Naruto's body was enveloped by the Nine-Tails chakra. Sasuke was confused as he stood there. Naruto then proceeded to roar like an animal. The shockwave from his roar, though, sent a blast that destabilized the area, causing everything to collapse. But once again, Yamato was fast enough to create a coverage out of wood, protecting them. As the question was on all of their minds, what the hell was going on? Yamato blasted their way through, Sakura looking around, but Naruto, Sasuke, and Orochimaru was nowhere to be seen. The team returned back to the village. Sakura was scared, worried, and concerned. Yamato had a more steady mind to give Tsunade the report. He told Tsunade every detail before they arrived towards that area. He told her everything. Tsunade was left perplexed. Yamato believed that Orochimaru placed Naruto under some hypnosis when they fought. However, with Naruto's body under the Nine-Tails control, he doubted that would have taken place. It made no sense to any of them. When Kakashi learned of this, he was angry that he wasn't there to do something about it. But he too had the same thing on his mind. The Nine-Tails chakra should have resisted any of that. So this wasn't adding up. The word spread when the team had returned without Naruto. Hinata had confronted Sakura, wanting to know where Naruto was. It was the first time she didn't stutter. However, as the bad news came out, Kiba simply laughed it off, trying his best to make them not feel sad. "It's Naruto," he said. "He'll be fine. I bet in a couple of days we will see him returning with Sasuke after defeating Orochimaru, and take everyone to get some ramen." He said that to help them because he could see how detrimental this was on all of them. They've all come to see Naruto as a great friend. Hinata more so, as she had something deep for him. Not even he knew about that. As they found themselves at a loss, Tsunade sent word to Jiraiya immediately. When the news reached him, it struck him deep. He's been searching for Orochimaru's location for the longest time, and he was always at a dead end. If Orochimaru had Naruto, the Sannin grew fearful. While that was happening, the underground laboratory, it was long and confusing. Naruto walked because he had to walk. Orochimaru told him to be quiet and he could not say a word. He followed him as he made his way. By the time they got there, Sasuke wanted answers as well. When Naruto suddenly collapsed, trembling, Orochimaru had counted down almost like he knew this was gonna happen. He walked over to a metal box and pulled out a syringe with a strange red-orange liquid inside and injected Naruto. The pain faded almost immediately. "What is this? What the hell is going on?" Sasuke said. "Come, I will show you both." Once again, Naruto was forced to get to his feet and follow. When they arrived towards a deeper section, they all saw it. A massive tank with a green liquid inside, but floating in there was Naruto. Smaller, around 8 to 10 years old, his body cold and looking lifeless, at the same time looking like he was sleeping. The real Naruto, well, maybe that wasn't the right word to use. The older Naruto stared in shock. What is this? What the hell is this? He said. My research with the Uzumaki clan led me into some uncharted waters, Orochimaru said. Documents and scrolls about a copy. Something that supersedes that technique that you love to use, the Shadow Clone Jutsu. A long time ago, I saw the opportunity. I returned to Konoha without anyone knowing. And I found you. You were alone on your 8th birthday. There were fireworks going on, and you were watching them from a large vantage point, because the villagers would not like to see you around because of what you contained. I saw my opportunity, the lax in security, and I took you. At first I was just gonna take you and use you, until I decided to experiment, and I made you. No, you're lying, said Naruto. I'm not. Remember, Orochimaru said. Just by his words alone, the memories came crashing in. Orochimaru had been suppressing the clone's memories every single time that he used him. Naruto remembered himself stealing important documents. He remembered himself coming to Orochimaru. He remembered Orochimaru sending individuals to inject him. He collapsed on the ground, crying, gripping his hair, tearing it out, learning that your entire life has been a lie, learning that he was nothing but a clone. Naruto started to mentally break down. Stop it, Orochimaru said. Immediately, it stopped. Sasuke was quiet as he looked at the tank. His face said nothing, but he realized that this clone has been the one that he knew, Orochimaru. Sasuke just looked at him, something flashing behind those eyes of his, something dark. You see, Orochimaru said, the original died. However, before he did, I found a breakthrough. How to isolate the nine-tailed chakra without a host. In order to do that, I had to remove what made the nine-tails a tail beast, its consciousness. It took a lot of work, but the hidden Uzumaki scrolls gave me something that I never had, the insight to step beyond the normal amplification of chakra entirely. And I was able to do it. I was successful. And the moment I did that, I realized that I had a problem. If the body was removed from the component that kept it rejuvenating and allowed it to circulate the chakra like it was living, it will eventually dissipate, so I have to keep it sustained, actively electrified, feeling like it's alive. My other venture led me to create you. Well, not you exactly. There was 15 others. I couldn't stabilize them and I couldn't understand why. Until I learned that the nine tails was the key. That is why the Uzumakis never truly were successful in creating a true replica clone. They needed a tail beast, the wild uncertainty of the chakra that differs so much from human chakra generations. I was able to isolate the power because when I made you with a nine-tailed chakra in your system. But that power can only be used when you're in a state of rage. But it cannot keep you sustained. Eventually your body fails because you're not perfect. I had wanted so to make you perfect, but every couple of weeks or so, you need an injection. The stimulus from the nine tails. I've isolated its chakra without any of its control. It seemed to be the perfect opposite to your calm creation. Every now and again, I had my special members deliver you your dose of injection with my words, compelling you to forget every single time. Every time you give me information, every time you gather what I need. You've been the perfect spy without even knowing, giving me all that I need within the forbidden scroll. Every single detail, I must say, you've been perfect. I bet you're wondering why the invasion failed if I had all this information. Oh, you don't seem to care about that. Orochimaru stooped down. Just a little heads up. Everything went perfectly. Well, except for my arms being sealed away. That wasn't part of my plan. But still, he caressed Naruto's hair. You've been wonderful. He turned to Sasuke. Come. He's of no importance. Sasuke looked at Naruto and felt something break in his heart. Despite everything, Naruto was still a friend. And he realized that. But his friend was a clone. But seeing his friend's life just turned upside down like that, it hurt him. But it doesn't matter though, because Sasuke was going to kill Orochimaru. His mind was made up even more. If not for just getting away without giving up his body, for getting revenge for what he did to Naruto. The Naruto that he never knew, and the one that he did knew. He walked behind him, following him, as Naruto was left on the ground a pitiful mess, unable to cry, unable to break down, because Orochimaru would not allow it, as he simply lay there in his mess, unable to even think properly. As Naruto started to remember everything. You see, Naruto did not try to fight Sasuke to his fullest to bring him back. He purposely allowed Sasuke to get away. The fight was as much triggering for Sasuke as it was for Naruto. He did not fight Orochimaru in the Nine-Tailed state. The moment they got away from the team, he had suppressed himself. All of it. Everything. Orochimaru had used him for the invasion as well. But why? With so much information, why didn't he win? What has he done to the village? Naruto has no way of warning them. He has no way of informing the village about what has been done. But what does it matter? He wasn't even the real Naruto. He was a copy. He was a clone. Did it all mean nothing? His friendships, his bonds, they were created because he thought that he created them to have a special connection, but they were all fabricated because of a man that chose to give him life and kill the original. He couldn't even cry, and that was the worstest part. He couldn't even cry as he sat there in misery, left alone within the dark. 2 months went by after that day, and Konoha continued on. Missions were still going on. The academy was still going on. People were still visiting the Ichiraku Ramen shack. However, for those who were connected with him, they were struggling. Hinata sat alone most mornings now, hoping that she would wake up one day and heard that he was back. But he was never coming back. She heard people talking. She heard them saying these things, and she was getting more and more frustrated every time she heard them. The mood was somber. They had grown up together. They were the rookies. Having Sasuke turn to the dark side was something big. But Naruto, he was their light. He was a ball of energy that made you believe that everything was going to be alright. After all, he was going after an impossible task, to be Hokage. So everyone was going through it. Jiraiya was out. He hadn't returned back to the village yet. Tsunade was drinking more. Kakashi was blaming himself, believing that if he had been there, he would have been able to do something. Kiba tried to be the loud one, tried to help them through their grief, but it wasn't working. Lee trained harder, believing that he would need to be as strong as possible for them to rescue Naruto. Sakura was falling apart. Having Sasuke gone was one thing because Naruto was here to encourage her not to give up. But having Naruto gone was chipping her apart piece by piece. However, it wasn't much long after this that Sasuke decided to put an end to Orochimaru. Orochimaru was a very hard man to kill, but without his arms and his time reaching to its limit, Sasuke had the advantage. Sasuke attacked him with everything that he got, overwhelming Orochimaru almost immediately. He had him on the ropes until Orochimaru summoned Naruto. For the past 2 months, Orochimaru had placed Naruto under disguise to ensure that no one would know that it was him. He was wearing a mask. He appeared out of nowhere, having returned in time. "Stop," Sasuke said, as Orochimaru was on the ground, his regeneration moving at a crawl. He would have been seconds away from dying, but Naruto intervened, breaking the connection. "He's down. He can't run and he can't fight. I'm finishing this. Stand down." Sasuke said to him. I can't," Naruto said, struggling to talk. They clash, and Sasuke realized that without without this clone, as he rephrased himself, being told by Orochimaru to limit itself, it was far stronger and faster than he expected. Naruto has never been so miserable. He just wanted to die. He's been through so much, but now in this moment he just wanted it all to be over. Sasuke realized something though. He took off in the opposite direction. Orochimaru seemed to catch on. "Stop him!" Naruto went after him as Sasuke was heading to where the original was. He made his way when Naruto suddenly ran straight into the wall. He purposely tripped himself up. He got up a moment later, but it gave Sasuke the time to run down the hall. Sasuke arrived and wasted no time as he unsheathed his blade and slashed, tearing through the container. He grabbed the corpse. The moment he did so though, Naruto went berserk. Orochimaru's order springing out as his chakra flared. The entire base started to tremble as 4 tails emerged, going on into 5. The chakra just kept on growing and growing. Sasuke wasn't about to chance it. He would kill Orochimaru another time. He would ensure that he doesn't have the clone to protect him though. As Sasuke left with the corpse of Naruto, within that moment, he was disconnected from the cylinder and the power was left without a containment. Orochimaru was held by Kabuto, still in a battered state. Orochimaru was furious, but he kept the clone close by just in case Sasuke returned, knowing that he wouldn't be able to find Sasuke now, as all of the power that was once inside of the original was gone. Orochimaru had not accounted what would happen if it was to resurface now. Would it regenerate its mind? What made it a tail beast? He wasn't sure. He was curious though. As for Sasuke, he gave the original a proper burial. Yes, on a random hill, in a different location, he buried the original. He even had a few words to say, but he supposed this one would not even know him. It was a clone that he became friends with. But this was no time to do any of that. This was time to move. This was time for him to gather his team and hunt Itachi down. However, Orochimaru kept the clone by his side as he regenerated. He was still too sickly to do anything really. He had to take another body. He had to survive. You would think that he would try to take the clone's body, but there was so much limitations with its way of living that it would never truly work. He needed something real until he gets Sasuke. However, something started to happen. The clone was aware. Naruto could feel it. He didn't know what it was, but he could feel something strange. Ever since the original was taken away, Orochimaru still had enough chakra to keep him sustained for a year. However, when he suddenly collapsed on the ground, he was not by the Sani inside. He was simply guarding the facility. However, everyone felt it. A wave, an astronomical force, split through the entire place, causing confusion. No one could properly understand what was going on. It found the clone and slammed into him. It hit him like a shore slamming down. On the surface, the force just dropped into him. The reactor inside of him that was a part of him that allowed him to use the nine-tailed chakra was something that was fused to him as an individual. It possessed no consciousness, as the fox had been reduced to nothing but fuel. However, it took time. When the original finally stopped circulating that chakra, instead of dispersing, all of it came to the next source, the piece that had consciousness. While he might not have the Nine Tails consciousness, he was still conscious, even though he was a clone. And Orochimaru experiments. Pieces of the Nine Tail consciousness had been stored inside of the clone. Tiny small fragments, fueled by its own rage and hate. So all of that dispersed power came rushing in and gutting the clone, slamming into him like a train with maximum force. The base started to violently shake as so much power was being converted. No one knew exactly what was going to happen. The clone was not a real person, genetically grown in a special way. You might say that he possessed a soul, depending on the way that you look at it. But its body was unique. Its body did not have certain limitations, because it was fueled by the chakra of the fox to keep it sustained. Without that, it would die. But as of this moment, everything that the Nine-Tail was rushed into it. Every information came back. Every information from the original, it was there, but it just opened in his brain. The tank and everything. But the small fragment of the Nine-Tail also reacted. Instead of growing into its own consciousness though, it fused into one. Orochimaru slowly walked down the halls, unable to rush. Arriving to the vicinity, when he arrived he saw the clone. He was slowly getting up to his feet, trembling as he did. What is this? What's going on? Answer me, Orochimaru yelled. But the clone did not respond. Realizing that something had been extremely wrong, Orochimaru called Kabuto immediately. Kabuto arrived with what was needed, the special sequence that was ingrained inside of him. Kabuto was the one to perform it because Orochimaru was weakened. The seal that Kabuto performed activated the fail-safe and destroyed the clone from the inside out. However, another problem took place as when that went off, it was like a reactor exploding. The reactor that had kept the clone alive. But due to the unstable, genetical force of the Nine Tails now circulating through it, it all combusted as one. Orochimaru made another big mistake that day when he tried to end the clone's life. It caused strange, fundamental changes to go through him and around him and about him as well. His hair extended and changed. All the color was seeped out as it became white. His eyes became a flash of gold, almost like the flash of explosion before you heard the bang. His claws extended. His body grew denser and stronger. You could feel it around the ear. He then opened his mouth as he roared. But this was unlike any roar. The amount of power that was released was enough to tear the entire base down. Orochimaru had survived by Kabuto protecting him. Orochimaru watched as the rubble started to move. The remaining sound ninjas that were here, they made their way down the hall. Orochimaru immediately allowed Kabuto to use the summoning jutsu. Both men were swallowed by a snake. Move, Orochimaru said, knowing that they must leave this place immediately before he gained awareness. Because Orochimaru realized he couldn't control that thing anymore. Those golden eyes scanned the vicinity and pinpoint the sound shinobis, 30 plus of them, as they all gathered around him. They gathered with their weapons drawn, ready to cut him down. The first one saw the opportunity and plunged a blade through his chest. But a blade like that would have killed a normal man. But when the hand snapped up and gripped the wrist and broke it, that is when they all realized that they were screwed. He pulled the blade out of his chest as the shinobi stepped back. He wasn't in the right set of mind at the moment, and it shows. He started to release random tail beast bombs. Small, large, larger. He did not hesitate. He wasn't fighting like a man or a beast. He fought like something in between. He decorated the walls with their insides and their blood. He painted the ground. He stripped them. He tore them. He was a monster if there was one, mixed with something twisted of a human. He was something else. It only took around 10 minutes for him to rearrange all of them into pieces, tearing them apart. His mind not stable, not equipped to even think properly. By the end of it, he was different. He had no destination. His mind was filled with so much, almost like a reactor jumbling around. He had no true drive to move in one direction. What he did have though was hate. A lot of hate and rage. He wanted to see it burn, all of it. He started to release tail beast bombs. The more power he used, the stronger he seemed to become because he was simply cycling the energy over and over. The full potential of what he was had yet to be truly tapped. And he realized that as well as his mind stabilized. But just like the Ninetales, who hated all the humans for what they did to him, trapping him away, who wanted to see it burn because he just wanted to be left alone. Not to mention that part of Naruto that always was disgusted by it all, from a young age being treated like a monster, and that part of him that was left broken on the ground when Orochimaru revealed everything to him. All of that led to one emotion: rage. Unbridled, uncontrollable rage. So he started to move. The first village was innocent. Villagers, no real shinobi presence there. It only took around half an hour. At the end of it, blood, guts, brains. He slaughtered them. The second and third barely made it on the paper. They were small, insignificant. The fourth, on the other hand, it was when 4 Jonins that were passing through got a hold of him. Only one of the Jonin survived, and that was because he ran. He ran as fast as he possibly could. He was from Kiri. He returned to tell his leaders, Mei Terumi the Mizukage. However, he had been tracked. Mei Terumi, the wielder of 2 bloodlines, heard about something within her vicinity, a monster that had slaughtered an entire village. Immediately, she decided to investigate to understand what was going on. What neither she or anyone knew was, the monster was coming to the gate. The special ninjas that kept covered in the mist, they saw him first. They asked him to identify himself, but when he pushed his arm clean through one of their chests, they realized that this person was here to kill. When tails emerged from him, glowing and twisting and ripped into the last two, they died. They died watching that monster step by them. The tails started to multiply. 9 became 10, 10 became 12, until they separate from him. They twisted and turned as they became something of themselves. Each of them, in the second stage of the tail beast transformation, with 4 tails behind them, special clones that were now powered by his will. They tore through the village. Innocent people that don't deserve it were beheaded, were ripped apart. The bloodshed started almost immediately. Mei Terumi moved immediately. She did not hesitate as she gave orders. She descended upon the battlefield to protect her village. She hasn't brought it through a civil war to see it be destroyed like this. The censor teams tried to adapt. The Jonin teams regrouped. Mei Terumi went down there herself. Her lava released. She cleaved through 4 of them. But when she saw them reattach themselves with a chakra, she took a step back. She then saw 5 of them digging themselves down. They dig and dig and dig and dig. She rushed in as the original made contact with her. His very touch burned. "Who are you?" she said, demanding answers. His tail gripped her around the waist and thrust her through a building. The entire island started to shake as the 5 that had went down started to bomb the structure that connected it all. The entire place started to be submerged into water. Buildings started to collapse and crumble as everything shook. It wasn't easy to destroy the main island, but they were down there pouring their chakra and bombing the structures that had built up over centuries of land platform. Nature itself working to build land on the sea. The water between the islands went red. Thousands dead. Thousands wounded. As they started to randomly launch tail beast bombs into the sky, causing collateral damage all over. Bloodshed, destruction in their wake. The original had his clones flew back to him as they attached themselves like tails, flooding back into him. There was no cruelty in his eyes, just the understanding that they all need to burn, that they all need to be destroyed for what they did to him. As he doesn't just blame one, he blamed the entire world. That is when he saw a shinobi that tried to sneak up on him, using a technique to make himself almost invisible. Naruto plunged his hand through his neck, pushing his hand through, and he felt it. His chakra adapted, showing that his potential was almost limitless. The part of him that was a clone that needed the chakra to stabilize itself seemed to draw samples of this very chakra that was engraved into the DNA, and it adapted. His body went invisible as he took on the same traits as a bloodline. The realization that this brought him made him smile. He smiled happily. Kiri possessed several noteworthy bloodlines. Mei Terumi, who had been helping the evacuation of her people, unable to stay on the front line to fight as she gave orders, finally arrived as she was left alone there. She felt something rip past her face. She could not see him, so she flooded the area with steam, using it to see his movements. She finally took a hold of him as she blanketed the area. He roared out as his very skin started to melt. However, he smiled, his regeneration being pushed to limits that go beyond a perfect Jinjuliki. As his body simply filled in, he stepped through it even as his face was melting, showing how powerful her ability truly was. She tried to cloak him in acid. She tried to bathe him in lava, but it wasn't working. She was running out of options. Can this thing even be killed, she thought to herself. She went toe to toe with him until he got the hand on her, and he pushed it through her stomach. He tore his hand out, leaving her on the ground bleeding. He looked around at the fire and destruction and just started to walk away. Mei Terumi struggled on the ground, somehow surviving. Healers, their best, rushed to her aid, dragging her away as the monstrosity left. She bit back the pain and told them not to go after him. It would just lead to their demise. Naruto made his way. As the days passed by, the rumors spread like fire. As Naruto started to walk, taking the scenery, making his way past the land of water, his vicinity, its trajectory was towards the land of rain. 2 other villages fell in his wake. Learning about this, Naruto Uzumaki, the leader of the Akatsuki, made preparations, moving his mechanical walker. As Naruto stood on a broken village, literally having slaughtered all 1,852 people in the small village, he stood there, looking at his hands. There was so much hate and rage inside of him at the entire world. He just wanted it all to be gone. His mind had fully stabilized, but there was no returning back to what he was. He had accepted the role that they gave him. He accepted the monster that they made him out to be. What he didn't expect it though was for 6 individuals to just appear, moving through the morning mist. The one with the spiky nose piercing stepped forward. "Who are you?" Naruto's voice. It sounded like an animal between a human, just the perfect center. "You carry the power of the 9-tailed Jinchuriki. You also share familiar traits to Naruto Uzumaki. But tell me what exactly you are," he said, looking at Naruto, looking at the village. He looked at Naruto like Naruto was the monster here. Well, in a sense he was. "I asked you a question," Naruto said. "There is order that need to exist in this world," Pain said. "Chaos serves nothing. You are my enemy, and you shall submit, and I will find out what has happened to you." "You've came to stop me," Naruto said. "Yes. You will destroy no other village in the vicinity." "Is that so?" Naruto smiled. "Well then, let us see if you have what it takes." What happened next took the landscape apart. And that wasn't an exaggeration. The gravitational force was met with a blast that split the earth open. The mist was immediately evaporated. The 6 paths of pain descended upon Naruto. Given his rampage state, they believed they could best him, but his mind has never been intact more than it has right now. The Deva Path could root trees up by the 100 with his gravitational force, but Naruto could claw through the very gravity that tried to push him away. Not to mention the long rays of Kekigenkai and bloodline that he had stored into his own flesh from absorbing the genetical trait of the people within Kiri. It was almost like he could walk through space itself, because they were combining inside, allowing the best result to make something broken. The animal paths summon animals, a lot of them, but Naruto tore through them like they were paper. His claws and fists possessed power to tear through steel like it was nothing at all. His physical strength had been almost multiplied by 100. It was the absorption path that was their best bet. When it got a hold of Naruto and started to absorb, Naruto fed into it. He allowed it to feed, and Nagato coughed out blood almost immediately, because Naruto was like an infection. "What is it?" Konan said. Something was wrong. It bled through the pathways because they were connected. Nagato felt it like a virus coursing through his chakra, reaching into him and tearing into his chest. There was no physical wound, but he felt it none the same. They stopped pulling their punches, as Nagato had to push himself. when he ripped the entire land platform apart, trying to seal Naruto away. That was until Naruto proceeded to open it by splitting the literal heavens. He performed a tail beast bomb and split it. Yes. How this was even remotely possible? How could one manipulate chakra like this? He held the bomb like it was a weapon and simply split downwards. But the reaction was just the same. The split caused a cataclysmic blast of reaction to follow. The sky itself lit up with flaming stones, raining down as Naruto descended from one to another. His stamina seemed to be almost endless. He rained down with rage and destruction, spitting fire from his mouth. He bent his knees and pushed off with such force the air itself quaked. However, he pushed past the Deva path as he realized Konan immediately flew through, but Naruto grabbed onto her. When she tried to break apart, the chakra was like a lock. "Konan!" Nagato shouted as Naruto wrapped around her. He ripped his hands out of the mechanical walker and raised his hand. Universal pull, he yanked Naruto. Almighty push, he blasted Naruto away. But Naruto's body turned into orange papers, dozens of them. Konan collapsed down to the ground. The papers flew and consumed Nagato. He tried to fight it, he tried to resist it, but they took a hold of him and bind him where he was. As they gripped into him, fusing onto his flesh. By the time they let go, the Rinnegan, it was empty. Naruto reappeared, sporting a new set of eyes, a golden set of Rinnegan. He smiled before he turned and raised his hand, releasing the almighty push that destroyed their body because it not only released gravitational force, the small combustion that was releasing each of the blasts caused a minuscule bomb of thousands to rain inside of his opponents, reducing their body to ashes and dust. Naruto smiled, his body accumulating and absorbing everything that he learned, truly becoming something multi-purpose, truly becoming broken to this world. Naruto was not hiding, so it wasn't hard for Jiraiya to find him. But by then Naruto had become something that Jiraiya wouldn't recognize. He found Naruto in the midst of committing a tragedy. Naruto, he called out, the blood that was still freshly stained on his hands. Naruto turned towards him. He smiled. "Hello, Jiraiya," he said. "It's been a while. What has Orochimaru done to you?" "Oh, him. I almost forgot. To tell you the truth, I've been rather busy. There was a lot to do, a lot to accomplish. But I'm okay now." "Is that why you're here? To see me?" "I'm here to bring you back to the village. I'm here to help you. I've heard things. I was hoping that they were false. But looking at you now, you're clearly not the right state of mind to make any choices for yourself. You're coming back with me," Jiraiya said, walking up and gripping Naruto's arm. "Enough of this nonsense." Naruto smiled. Time skip. Tsunade heard things. She tried to keep the more gruesome part away from Sakura, but she couldn't. Until the day when the toads came rushing in. They had Jiraiya. His right arm was missing. There was a dent in his chest. A hole that was leaking blood. She didn't ask questions, she simply got to work. 18 hours of surgery. She saved him. She saved his life. It wasn't until 6 days that Jiraiya finally regained some consciousness. Everyone that came that was, well, everyone that needed to be there. They came to discuss what was going on. Jiraiya lay in the hospital bed, trying to get used to not having a arm that he used on a daily basis. The rumors and the news were right. He knew me, Jiraiya said. He knew who I was. What did Orochimaru do to him? Sakura said. Jiraiya went over the battle in his mind. It was almost like Naruto enjoyed every single part of it. And that is what made Jiraiya more fearful than ever before. A part of him wanted to spare her from that notion that Naruto would never come back after what he saw, but she had to know the truth. They all had to know the truth. They all had to know what Naruto has become. Time skip. Orochimaru hid. He hid. Taking another body wasn't hard. He had taken Goren's body. And with that he hid away. Until Naruto found him. They were still connected in a way. Naruto had gotten so immensely smart when it came to chakra. The understanding of splicing it by, allowing his own body to absorb genetical traits of others. That finding Orochimaru wasn't hard. The day wasn't supposed to be turning out like this. How did you find me? Orochimaru had said. I never lost you. I was simply busy. Don't worry, I'm not here to kill you. You might think I'm upset for what you did to me. Most people would, but I'm not most people. What I want is some information. Information? Yes. How you created me. The clone me I'm talking about. I want you to tell me how you did that. Every single detail. Why? Orochimaru said. Naruto smiled. If I tell you that, I'm gonna have to kill you. Is that what you desire? I know you're already thinking of a way to escape, but trust me, you can't. As he said that, one of his copies arrived. Standing there, already fully transformed. Orochimaru swallowed. He could hear chaos in the distance. As another one came in with the head of Kabuto. So, what will it be? Hand over the information or die. Orochimaru gave Naruto whatever he desired. But the Sannin was still preparing to fight. Confused he was as Naruto simply turned to leave. You're actually leaving? Of course. I made you a promise, didn't I? You know, most would think I hate you for what you did. But I'm loving myself more and more each day. Orochimaru was left realizing the greatest mistake that he ever made was to create that clone. Over the next following days, Tsunade sent word to the other villages. But the only one that listened was Gaara. The others, they were too arrogant. For 3 months straight, there was nothing on Naruto at all. The true leader of the Akatsuki, the masked man, was furious. His plans were in ruins. However, things took a turn one Tuesday morning when 1,500 copies of Naruto descended upon Kumo. Just like that. The Raikage was a powerful man in his own right. He was a Kage, but while these were not as strong as the original, each of them had the equivalent of 7 tail worth of tail beast power. But this wasn't any normal 7 tail, it was from the 9 tails. The strongest of all the current tail beasts. In 3 months, Naruto had isolated enough power to replicate it himself. And unlike what Orochimaru did, these were bound to him because he was the only one that had the true mindset. They were all a reflection of him. He walked with his army, and nations fell. When word reached Konoha that the stone had fell soon after, survivors of Kiri had fled. Mei Terumi had spoke to Tsunade. The villages had united themselves. They still had a few thousand shinobis. Gaara had came with the sand. Sasuke was out there. He got his revenge on Itachi, but he was left more broken when the masked man decided to recruit him by informing him about the truth. But there was no time to burn the village just yet. The remaining forces came together, but they were not counting on this though. You see, Naruto had absorbed the other tail beasts, amplifying his power even more, allowing him to take on a transformation state unlike any other. He transformed into 3 sides of the 9 tails. His height was colossal. But while he transformed, the others also transformed as well. Each of them would be at the base sides of the 9 tails. There was no discussion, there was no talking. Only death, only destruction. People as important like Sakura, who would have probably had something to say, she never got the chance. She was burned along with thousands. Jiraiya could not fight. Civilians along with himself was erased. Naruto carved a path of death and destruction through the land of fire. He rearranged geological structures that had been standing for eons. He pulled the earth from the ground and created 15 moons before he dropped them. He pulled the heavens down. Massive meteors raining down. Naruto was causing a global disaster over the world. The chakra of the 9 tails spread, the corrosive tendency of it. It surrounded those meteors and brought down death and destruction all over the land. People as important like Sasuke, his team, who was on the run, were erased, unable to fight when the world was coming to an end. The masked man hid within his dimension though. And by the time he came out, Zetsu was gone. The world was destroyed. It was destroyed. It was all gone. While that was going through his mind, Naruto had feed off the chakra of everyone, taking each special trait of them all. Tsunade, Hyugas, even Sasuke, chakra, the Sharingan. Naruto went to sleep as his entire body formed a thick shell, almost like a cocoon. It encapsulated him. Days, weeks, months, years. The masked man came across it and tried to break it, but he was unsuccessful each time. There was still a lot of people in the world, civilians, ninjas who survived. They tried to seal it, they tried to blast it, but it was indestructible. Too much power to be pierced. These thousands of people went into hiding, fearing his ascension, fearing his wake, not knowing what it would bring, not knowing the monster that would step out of the cocoon. Even Orochimaru was still amongst the land of the living. You would think that you would never see him just out about, but Orochimaru sat at the cocoon as no one else was there. To think, I did all of this, the Sannin said. He screwed humanity. And no one had any idea what was going on inside, what Naruto was becoming, what he was changing into. Then again, they should probably stop calling him Naruto. The real Naruto died many years ago. Orochimaru stood there. He came here to vent most times, because everything was gone. There was no point in learning because everything was destroyed. There was no repair in this. Every major village was rubble and destruction. Survivors had fled underground into underground bases, but still, it wasn't enough. The world would never be the same once again, and that was because of him. And finally, as he was confessing his sins, it cracked. 2 years, 9 months, and 5 days. What emerged was not what Orochimaru was expected. It was calm. Naruto had taken on a white silhouette, with Megatama markings, a cloak that seemed to reach down to the ground without anything on his feet, a staff in his hand. His eyes were still the golden Rinnegan, but a new, red Sharingan mutation of the Rinnegan appeared on his forehead. Normally you would call this a Rene Sharingan, but this one had the specks of the Byakugan in the center and the veins coming from the side. The Ten Tails had tried to take over Naruto consciousness while he was changing, but Naruto was too twisted to be taken. His rage, his identity, was not something that could be controlled because, to a sense, there wasn't one. He might call himself Naruto, he might even think like he had those feelings, but he didn't have them anymore. Orochimaru was astonished. The thing in front of him just oozed power by existing. Orochimaru, I've heard you, said Naruto. I've heard your sins, I've heard your pain. He said, stepping towards the Sanin to think. All of this was done because of your desire to see Konoha burn. Because of your desire to transcend mortality. You've given it to someone else. I have slept and I've learned things. The chakra that surrounds us all is connected to everything. I've learned that there are gods behind these walls. This planet that keeps us restrained is just a shell to be broken open. Naruto stepped towards him. Orochimaru did not flinch. Perhaps a part of him wanted to die for what he did, knowing that there was no coming back from that. Once again, I must thank you for allowing me to truly become my true self. Because what I see now is something that I desire to reach, to push beyond the stars. Naruto said, this world no longer possesses any importance. He ascended into the sky, and just like that he was gone. All of that build-up, all of that destruction just to leave the world behind, like it was nothing. Thousands of people, the masked man, Orochimaru, all of them were left with nothing. As Naruto flew through the emptiness of space, drinking it all in. Maybe that is not the right way. He was talking to himself about his own name. Naruto Uzumaki had died a long time ago, as a name came to mind that was fitting of what he is now. Legion. Because we are many, he said. His clones. They came from the truth-seeking orbs that were floating behind him. Thousands of them. They flew through the heavens, lighting up the darkness of space itself with a cloak that surrounded them. Their destination, worlds to be conquered. As one was not enough. The universe was much vaster than his mind could even understand, and the fun has just begun. Just like that, one man's ambition had turned into something that wrecked the world and craved more. And this is where our story comes to an end, guys. What if Naruto discovered that he was a clone? More series to come, more stories. I've been dealing with a few things, so I've unable to focus on the series, but in a couple of days I'll have them all finished with. So don't worry guys, more series to come, but I'm off for now. Peace.